Bedtime?
Yep.
Hang in there. You got a little more to go, okay? I'll try to keep you awake, I promise. So where are we all from? Where are you guys from?
New Orleans.
New Orleans, what in town?
Just road trip.
Oh, okay. Have you been here before?
No.
Oh, great. It's the first time we go through it. On this one, anyway. You've probably been on one or two in New Orleans, huh?
Fun.
They got a few of them down there.
Just a little bit.
Great. Well, you're staying in the hotel?
Yes.
Cool.
Third floor.
Thanks for coming by here. How about you guys? Where are you from?
Kansas City.
We're at the first time we're going to go through too?
Yeah.
Excellent. Same hotel?
Yep.
Nope. Where y'all coming from? Maryland. What do we do to Eureka Springs?
I'm ruined.
I see. And these folks, they accommodate your,
Yeah.
needs. All right, well, great. Well, glad you're here. That's great. So first time here then?
Yeah.
First time to ghost tour. It's not San Antonio on your bed, is it?
It's not. I love San Jose. The Kurtz brothers.
Okay, I don't know if I know them or not. I'm glad you guys are here. Thanks for coming. Are you staying in the hotel too?
Yeah.
What are you guys?
Fourth floor.
Are you in the George room? Okay, cool. I saw you all around, but I thought maybe you weren't. Cool. Great. How about y'all? Where y'all from?
Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville. Wow, great. First time on the ghost tour for y'all? You hit this one anyway?
I hear it, yes.
Okay, well, great. And well, I'm glad you guys are here. Staying in the hotel?
No.
Okay.
Down at the campground.
Oh, all right. How about y'all? Where y'all from?
Oklahoma.
What part?
Kind of central.
Okay.
More towards OKC.
Okay. Well, the first time on the ghost tour for y'all?
For the ghost tour, yes.
Okay. You staying in the hotel too?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Gentlemen, how about y'all? Where y'all from?
Kansas City.
Kansas City. First time on the ghost tour for y'all?
Yeah.
Excellent. You staying in the hotel? Stayed with anytime. Oh, you're not tonight then? Okay. Well, great. How about you guys?
Casey.
Kansas City also. And your first time on the ghost tour?
Not mine.
Okay. How long ago since you were on?
Last year.
Last year?
Yeah.
Okay, well, great. And you came back anyway?
I've been here. I've actually been on this ghost tour probably like 5 times now.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Wow, wait a minute. All right. Well, the pressure's on. Huh?
Pressure's on.
Have you ever been on the expert tour? The Zimcock tour?
Yeah.
Oh, you have been? Okay. Was it me?
Yep.
Oh, gosh. The pressure's really on now. I'll do my best. Well, welcome, guys. Welcome to the Ghost Tour. My name is Fillmore Graves. No, it's not. Terrible joke. I'm sorry, but I can't help myself. I really understand. And this is what we call the Expert Expanded Tour. Okay, so a little more information on this tour. We have more time. We can, not rush around and talk about things a little bit. But I spend more time trying to talk about the people who, the ghosts here, and trying to give some more information about them, who they were when they were alive. We'll spend a lot more time on this tour talking about the man called Norman Baker. You all heard about him yet?
Mm-hmm.
Most of you probably heard about Mr. Baker yet? Oh, gosh, okay. Well, so Norman Baker, he only owned the hotel for 2 years. That was back in the 1930s. And you were asking about when And so, so it was only 2 years, though, in 1937, when he bought the place. But what he was doing here, though, it was not a hotel. It was something a little bit controversial, a little bit different. In fact, what he was doing here is probably why we have about half our ghosts. And we're going to discuss them a lot on the tour. And because you're on this tour, you guys get to see a couple of extra things the other tours don't get to see. It has to do with Mr. Baker's legacy. So we're going to do that when we get down at the tour down at the bottom of the hotel. But as we go, so I've been doing this about 5.5 years, doing the tour about 5.5 years. Now, I've lived here for 35 years. And when I first moved here, back, a long time ago, the hotel was owned by different people. And back then, you moved here, it was, the haunted hotel, and you got to go to the haunted hotel. So back then, though, the owners of the hotel, they did not talk about the ghosts. That was a really bad idea. So maybe it was back then, but obviously that's changed. We've had the ghost tours officially about 27 years now. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun. I like it a lot. I hope you guys enjoy it too. But even back then, it was not a very well kept secret. So it was not, this has been going on here for decades. It's not a new thing for us. It's been going on here for a long time. So they talk about all those famous ghosts. But we had the famous ghosts. But I hear stories from all over the hotel. So it's not just confined to this handful that we hear about a lot. But anyway, as we go, we're going to start on the top floor, obviously. Work our way down the stairs. Nice little easy walk down the stairs. We're going to stop on every floor. Every floor has at least one ghost. Some floors have more than one ghost. We're going to discuss those ghosts tonight. We're also going to talk about experiences that guests and staff have had at the hotel, too. Now, I've had some experiences, and the strangest one I've had so far, it was about 5 years. I was still new at this thing, about 5.5 years ago. I was in room number 218, which is called Michael's Room. Ever heard of Michael's Room yet? You ever heard about Michael's Room a little bit? It's kind of a famous room. He's kind of famous ghost here at the hotel. So I'm in that room. It was a Saturday night. It was before the people, and we're ghost hunting. and something kind of strange happened. I'm going to tell you about it when we get down there. We're going to wind up the tour in the bottom of the hotel. That's where you keep what is left of the morgue. And the gentleman with the morgue in the hotel. No? You stayed here how many times?
5, 6, or 7.
Well, surprise! There's a morgue here. But don't worry, the morgue is not in operation these days. But it was in use by Mr. Baker, the man who had the hotel in the 30s. He had a little morgue down there, and it was obviously not a hotel. You got a morgue, probably not anyway. And that's where we're going to see the extra things the other tourists don't get to see. That's with Mr. Baker. So we're going to spend some time down there in the tour. But as we go along, please take pictures if you want to. We certainly encourage that. You probably don't want to use your flash though, because there's shiny things in the hallway that reflect the light. You think it's a ghost or something shiny, so it's disappointing. What they say to the criminal investigators, they say don't wait for something to happen. Just get that camera out and take a lot of pictures. You know, doorways, windows, mirrors, and catches your eyes. Take a lot of pictures. Then later on, look through them, see if something turns up. People do get orbs, but I want to tell you one thing about the orbs right away. You may have seen it already. Four little green things at the bottom of your screen is the fan lights. They do the thing with the carpet out there. I'm not sure how it works, but so those aren't the real orbs or after. If you zoom in on these orbs, you can see this, fan lights. It's weird. I've seen some weird stuff. Zooming on the orbs. I've seen some other weird photos. Shapes and shadows, clouds and mist. Sometimes a couple of guys down the end of the hall, top hats and waistcoats. And they're gone in the next picture, so it's kind of weird. But it's definitely an interesting place to work. If you do get a cool picture, have an experience in the hotel, we would love to hear about it. We've got a Facebook page. It's called America's Most Haunted Hotel. Post them there if you want to. Check it out if you haven't already. And I'm going to show you guys a couple of photos tonight on the third floor that were taken by guests here at the hotel. They're pretty cool photos. We're going to see those when we get down to the third floor. But before we go, got a couple of photos here to talk about. So here is a little boy in the corner up here. I see the little boy, okay? Mm-hmm. I see his face. His name is Brecky Thompson. He's one of our ghosts. He's 3 years old in this photo. It's from about 1917 when it was taken. At that time, the hotel was also run as a college for girls part of the year. That's why Brecky was here. His family had the school. That's his grandfather photo with him there. So Brecky here is the only photo we have of any of our ghosts when they're actually alive. Mm-hmm. We've had this for about 18 years now. One of our employees found it. She was doing some research in the hotel, on the school for girls especially. Found a lot of really great stuff in the school for girls days. It's one of those things. Remember that face? I'm going to ask her to call him later on. We're going to do a little comparison on the second floor when we get down there and talk about him. So I want you guys to remember what he looked like, okay? So the school for girls, about 25 years at the hotel. This is another photo from the school for girls days. Not ghosts as far as I know. Just a couple of students hanging out by the fireplace. By 1920, I guess, we were dressed. There's some sporting memorabilia in the cabinet over here from the school for girls. They had a basketball team as early as 1914. They were called the Crescent Comets. And they were pretty good, apparently. That photo is from 1931. They were at a tournament in Dallas, Texas, and they won 4th place in the national tournament. So go Comets. And this postcard is also from the School for Girls. It was from 1913. It was written by one of the students here at the school. Her name was Miriam. She's writing home to her family from Missouri. She was asking the family if they'd go out to the storeroom and send her the Ouija board at school. So, yeah, School for Girls and the Ouija board. What can possibly go wrong with that? Or Chainsaw and a hockey mask? Hit movie? No, I can't talk to the boss and do it anyway. But I'm gonna try. So anyway, so we're going to talk about a lot of ghosts tonight. Those are the famous ghosts, but it's going to be the next hour and a half or so. But before we go, I want to set the stage by telling you a little history of the hotel. So Eureka Springs, as you probably know already, it was founded because of the healing waters, the spring waters, and these healing powers. So the year was 1879 when the town was founded. And it was not much of a town at that time. It was more of a collection of shacks and wagons all down by the Basin Spring, which is the famous spring downtown. And there were, a couple hundred people living here that sell the water. 4 years later, it got so popular to come here, this little boom town kind of grew up on the spring, and it became the 4th largest city in Arkansas. It went from 200 people to more than 10,000 people. Wow. It's really crazy. That's pretty crowded for this part of the world. And that's only 2,000 live here now, so you get an idea of how busy it was. These men came to town, this group of wealthy gentlemen, and they were led by a man named Powell Clayton. And Powell Clayton had been the governor of Arkansas and prior to Civil War was over. Smart guy, popular politician in the state, wealthy man. So it'd be a great idea to go to Eureka Springs and open up a health resort, kind of cash in on this thing and maybe give his rich friends something to do. So he gets here with these rich friends of his. They form an investment group and they call themselves the Eureka Springs Improvement Company. And they take over the town, basically. They do some good things. They build streets and sidewalks, they get the railroad into town, and the other guys built the Crescent Hotel. That began in 1884. They spent $294,000 to build the place, which is real money back in those days. And they opened the hotel in May of 1886. Now, when it opened up, it was billed as the most modern facility of her kind west of the Mississippi River. Even then, had some electric lights in the building, steam heat throughout the building, private bathrooms in many of the rooms, which was quite a luxury back in those days, not a common thing at all. And they had hydraulic elevators back then. nice restaurant downstairs. It was right down the year oysters from the Gulf of Mexico. You could have, they had a wine soda, they had dances and parties with an orchestra. It was a very posh, very exclusive hotel. The Eureka Improvement Company, they wanted their wealthy friends to come to town, buy some land, build a house, make Eureka Springs a first-class city. That's how these homes that are here now got built back in that heyday. But that didn't last. I mean, after about 15 years, we went pretty well for about that time period, but after that, things got kind of quiet here in town. The healing waters thing kind of phased out. People got kind of, went out of fashion. They moved away, and it got kind of quiet here in town. In fact, it got so quiet, the hotel almost closed. At that point, the Frisco Railroad took it over. They still ran the hotel in the summer, but the rest of the year, when it was quiet, they leased it out to the College for Girls. That's how we got the Crescent College for Young Women. That began in 1908, and it was a boarding school. And there were usually like 80 or 90 girls that came to the school during the school year, and they studied. They're from rich families back in those days, well, not here, from Oklahoma, Texas, from the oil patches. And they come here and study art, literature, music, child welfare, nursing, stuff like that. So 25 years, hotel in the summer, school for girls rest of the year. It's a pretty good sign. 1934, however, it all came to a halt. The Great Depression had damaged the economy so badly, the hotel finally closed down, school closed down too, and they stayed that way for about 3 years. And that's when our friend Norman Baker shows up. Norman Glenwood Baker arrived in 1937, bought the hotel. Kind of famous already for what he was doing, but quite famous in Iowa. That's where he's born, in a little town called Muscatine on the Mississippi River. Smart kid growing up. He's one of 10 children. He's the youngest of 10 children, actually. Smart kid, but he quit high school in 10th grade. And to give you an idea of the kind of guy we're talking about, his very first career as a young man, the first thing he did, he was a magician. He was a hypnotist. Okay? He had a traveling magic show for a few years. He quit doing that, went back to his hometown, and his family had a machine shop business. And it was there that he created an invention that made him a millionaire. And so he got his start. Smart guy. Began to build a business empire. He had department stores and gas stations. He got into radio. In 1925, he opened his first station up there in Muscatine. It was called KTNT, a 10,000-watt station on the high prairie. And it was one of the first ones in the Midwest. He got into politics, ran for governor of Iowa at one point. Smart guy, talked on the radio, rich, charming, had a lot going for him. He was not, however, a doctor. He had no medical training at all. That didn't stop him from buying the hotel and turning into his third cancer curable hospital. He claimed he had the cure for cancer. He said, come to my hospital resort in the clouds. Cancer is conquered. Bring your golf club, bring your tennis racket. You'll be back on the course in 6 weeks, 100% guaranteed. And people came from all over the place, even as far away as Europe. And he made a pile of money in the 2 years he ran this place. And when he ran for 2 years, though, it closed down, and not because he cured everybody. It closed down because he got arrested. So we'll talk about that in the tour. So when he left, the hotel reopened. We went through a few different owners for the next few decades. It's kind of expensive to run this place. Some folks, they weren't ready for it. There was some neglect, some bad management. There was actually a fire in 1967 that burned this floor and burned the middle penthouse right off the building. Back then, they took the insurance money, slapped on a flat roof, the place up for sale again. So it went through a few more years with different owners, different ups and downs, and it got kind of bad. And it got so bad here that by 1997, this building had fallen into this terrible shape from neglect. It was actually closed down to the public, all but condemned. It's going to be auctioned off the highest bidder. And we're quite concerned about that here in town. Obviously, we're a little worried about that, but none of us have the kind of dough we need to run this place. Well, these people came to town. They're from Connecticut. The names are Marty and Elise Rennick. They came to Eureka Springs for an auction of antique musical instruments they collect. And this one over here they actually bought. This machine over here is called a Tangley Calliophone. It's basically a small pipe organ. It's got a blower. It's electric and a blower inside here, keyboard here. Here's our machine. So back in the 1920s, 1930s, this thing was very popular with vaudeville shows, music theater, and whatnot. Because that's so important, loud music maker. It's important to our story tonight, though, because this is the invention that made Norman Baker a millionaire. And that's how he got his start. When he invented this thing, he was selling it within a couple of years. He made $1.5 million. That's back then money. Nowadays, I'll take $20 million. So he was doing pretty good for himself. That's how he got his start. We'll get back to that in a second. There's no worries about the rentals. So they came to town for the auction. Okay, they had not planned to move to Eureka Springs. When they got here, they kind of liked it. Kind of liked our little town. So they decided to retire and move here. So they get here. Well, they wanted something to do in their spare time. They've had a hotel before, like antiques. So they bought 2 antique hotels. They bought the Basement Park Hotel first, started Central downtown. Then they bought the Crescent Hotel a couple months later. And as you may have guessed already, yes, they are wealthy folks. They poured literally millions of dollars in these 2 places to get money again. And they are still the owners today. They've been the longest, most successful owners in the history of the hotel. And Mr. Rennick has passed away, about 16 years now. And Mrs. Rennick, the owner, lives in the building over our heads in the short penthouse. Real nice lady. And good for us too. They weren't afraid of no ghosts. And they're the ones about the ghost tourism being about 27 years ago. It's a lot more fun that way. So before we go, one little thing. This is my ghost meter. It's an electromagnetic field detector. I'm going to turn it on. Don't be alarmed, okay? It does that every time I turn it on. It also does the flashing thing if I'm in the presence of an energy field. It can be paranormal or it can't be normal. By normal, I mean if I'm near a fuse box or magnet that's pretty crazy. But hopefully you folk are not carrying any ectoplasm in your possession. This is bad in my view. You can sign that 24 hours time now. I haven't found a ghost in my crowd yet, so I'm not too before the lounge. But let's check the calliophone. Sometimes the calliophone sets it off. Not tonight. All right. So I'm going to turn this thing on during the tour tonight. It's random, and it's not happening every night, but there's a couple spots in the hotel. It might light up. If it does, good time for a picture. All right, let's go on tour, guys. Go on in.
Pictures. Right?
Yep.
Look for the ghost.
Just kind of crowd right in here, guys. Just crowd right in here. If you want the door, that's fine. Just crowd on in. Crowd on over here, my friends. Just crowd on over here. Crowd on this way, my friend. Over here, this way, this way. Go way back there. Come over here. Don't be glare here. What? Eyes on you. Come closer, my friends. Closer. 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 Even closer. All your best friends by the new tour. Okay, so the door we hear is a foot of one of our stock. It's not a very exciting door. I admit that. But every now and then, not every night, once in a while, a guest at the hotel, one of our staff members, you see this here woman standing in front of the door here, and they describe her as this middle-aged woman, kind of slightly built, has this old-fashioned dress on, and in front of her she has her handbag, and she seems to be upset, and she's lost in the bag. So we stand in front of the door here. You guys okay? Yeah. So we stand in front of the door here, just digging around in this bag, shaking her head. So people, they see this and they want to help her, so they ask her, ma'am, can I help you? She looks up, she says, no, thank you. I'm just trying to find my keys. And turns back towards the door and disappears right through it. And that's Miss Theodora. She was an employee of the Baker Hospital back in the 30s when they were here, and this was her room number 419. Now, right above our heads is 502. 502 is a penthouse suite today, but back then, it was Norman Baker's private apartment. So we think she's somebody pretty important. He really trusted here at the hospital. She lives right below him. And it's starting to get a little hot for him, okay, because he's near the end of his career. He doesn't know yet. He's near the end of his career. And as you can well imagine, he's got a lot of dissatisfied customers, all right? There's a lot of dead people. But if you notice Miss Theodora's door here, a couple things about it. There's no number, no door knob, no hardware. Today, this door is all sealed off. Not because we ever locked up in there. It's because this was 419's door in the old days. It was one small room by itself. Today, you get to 419 around the corner, another door. They used to go to a separate room. But for many years now, we've combined these two rooms to a two-room suite. That's why this door is just part of the bedroom while I go around the corner. Miss Theodora, this is her door in the old days, so when she's seen in the building, this is where she's seen, trying to get an old room. Pretty rare event. Doesn't happen very often. But a little more often, it's a very popular room. Y'all booked it on purpose, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, most folks that book the haunted, they do it on purpose. They don't have an encounter with whatever ghost lives in the room. So Miss Theodora's room is very popular. And so, so some of the folks that stay in the room, they talk about having experiences with Miss Theodora. And by experience, I mean one or two things will happen. She'll either clean up after you or try to kick you out. Okay. So the cleanup thing's a little more common. People talk about coming back from downtown, shopping or whatever. They come in the room, kick off their shoes, dump out their pockets on top of the dresser. Maybe they have some shopping bags, those are on the floor. Lay in the shower, and throw the clothes in the bed, get in the shower. They come out of the shower, they come back in the room, and they find their shoes are lined up in front of the bed in this nice little room. Oh, you're running water? I think so too. Yeah. You love jumping in this shower.
So do I.
But the shoes are lined up in front of the bed. The stuff on the dressers all cleaned up and arranged. Even the chains, they find their coins set by denomination on top of the dresser. They talk about the shopping bags in the closet. The clothes in the bed are folded. We've had guests call the front desk before because they're upset. They're like, "Hey, I was in the shower when your maid came in. What about my privacy?" And they say, "Well, our maid left at 4, but thanks anyway." Hang up. It's Theodora, trying to help out our guests. And these are the guests that she likes. Okay. Some guests she's not quite so crazy about because over the years we've had different stories from guests about her other behavior, which is not quite as friendly. And I might tell you about this wedding couple. It's happened a few years ago, but we had a lot of weddings here, but this couple came to get married. And so the next day was going to be the wedding. They checked into 419 for the night. They unpacked their bags, and their wedding clothes in the closet. So into the evening, well, they were nervous. It's a wedding after all. Might have been nervous about it. They got in an argument, and they got kind of loud, kind of out of hand, and kind of heated. And well, they got so bad, in fact, they thought maybe it's not such a good idea. Maybe we should think about this a little bit. So they kind of agreed to kind of, go around the hotel on their own, think about things, cool off a little bit, and then meet up again in the bar and talk about it, right? So they cool down a little bit. They go up and get to the bar and meet up, talk about it. And well, they have a couple of drinky poos, fall back in love, of course. So they come back to the room. They put the key in the door, works great. Turn it out, which was fine. When they go to open the door, though, they have some difficulty. It will open some. The same blocking the door from opening all the way. So it was really hard, get it open all the way, and find their bags are packed right behind the door. But not everything is packed. The wedding clothes are no longer in the closet. They've been tossed to a pile in the middle of the floor. Yeah, Miss Theodore did not seem too enthusiastic about the nuptials. They might have been the shouting, okay? Or it could be old-fashioned gal. Might have been a little upset they were shacking up the night before the wedding. I might have heard her feeling. But they did stay, and they got married. But we never got a postcard. How it turned out.
Oh my God.
So, remember the little boy in the other room, little Becky, his picture. Okay, so the lady who found that used to work for her. She's also a very talented painter. So 24 years ago, she painted 5 portraits of the hotel ghosts. She painted these portraits based on people's descriptions of what they saw. And it used to be a souvenir we sold. We're going to do it anymore. We have some cards here. So I'm going to show you guys what the painting she made of Miss Theodora, what she's supposed to look like. So if you guys see her out in the hallways, we're talking about. You guys have seen her already. So, I mean, not the ghost.
Yeah.
That's what she's supposed to look like. She's very attractive. Yeah. I don't know, smiley though.
They never were.
No, I always think about Nurse Ratched, from Cuckoo's Nest. So y'all have seen this inside because if you stay in Miss Theodora's room, there's a large portrait of this on the wall in there to keep an eye on you. So behave. And that's the thing too. If you see Miss Theodora in the hall, she's really pretty nice. But if you do stay in her room, just try to be nice to each other. Don't fight. She hates that especially. But yeah, leave messes. She's clean up for you. Yeah, people do it all the time. They'll toss their coins out in the dresser. You done that? Toss the coins out?
We kind of just made some things just organized and kind of put things on the floor that shouldn't go on the floor.
So you're gonna see if she cleans up while you're gone. That's cool. I love that.
Let us in. We want to see.
Don't mind her anyway. They can have a party later, but the hotel gets mad if I'm involved with that kind of thing. They no, don't do that. Right. Let's go downstairs to the 3rd floor, guys. Follow me.
How long are y'all staying for? How long are y'all staying there?
Squeeze on in. Come on over here, guys. Block the hallways. Don't block the stairs. She's going to knock you down. Right over there. Right back there. Oh, jeez. All right. Come on here, guys.
I'm good.
So, we're stopping here for a moment to talk about Mr. Baker's hospital. He had quite a thing going on here. He's got a special part of the hotel for that. So, Norman Baker, he comes in 1937. He buys a hotel. It's been closed for 3 years. It was a mess, right? He got a great bargain. He paid for the entire building and the 27 acres it sits on. He paid $40,000. Yeah, and it's been $50K more to turn to his 3rd hospital. So now he's been in this hospital things like 9 years. He's got a way of doing things, right? So down the hall behind me back here, that area down here is called the Annex. It's the next part of the building. It was built shortly after Gross construction. During the School for Girls days, that was the music department. They had a whole bunch of little rooms for practicing music back there. So Norman Baker, he gets here, and he goes back to the rooms. He blocks out the windows with the chair and bed in each room. And here he builds a steel reinforced door for soundproofing. And he calls it, says it out loud, he calls that area back there the asylum. Now, we probably call it the psych ward today, something like that. In the 30s, asylum as a word, it was just different. Today it's edgy, but in those days it's more of a common term. They weren't too freaked out by it. But it was not built for mental health. I'll tell you about that in a second. Let's talk about the cure for cancer first, though. There are 2 parts to the cure for cancer. The most important part, of course, is the medicine, which he invented. And he called that secret formula number 5. And the other part of the cure was mental therapeutics. He's going to train you in the methods of mental therapeutics. Train you to use your mind over every disease. Overcome your pain you feel with your mind. Think yourself well. Not bad medicine. I mean, it can't be helpful, but just the old magic show, But back to the medicine, formula number 5, the cure for cancer. I'm going to reveal to you now the ingredients for the cure for cancer. Ground watermelon seed, corn silk, water, glycerin, peppermint oil, clover, little alcohol, castor carbolic acid. They do with this stuff, they cook it up behind closed doors, they filter it, they distill it, they glue it thin, they would draw it in syringes, and then inject it into people. They would inject it into their bodies the size of the tumors. It was supposed to be an intramuscular injection that would dissolve the tumor. That was the sales pitch anyway. Now, Norman was not doing the injecting. He actually got in trouble. His first hospital up there in Muscatine, his hometown, a little more hands-on than he should be, and he got in trouble. He got a criminal count for practicing medicine without a license levied against him by the state of Iowa. So that's why he left Iowa, came to Eureka Springs. So down here, he's just the administrator. He presents other men's doctors here. He calls them eclectic doctors, cancer specialists. This is a true story. This one guy in particular, should have called him Dr. Coal Miner. That's what he was before he came with Mr. Baker. A coal miner, a surveyor's assistant, had an 8th grade education. Okay? So these are the kind of guys that he's hiring for doctors. Now, but the real dirty work is being done by the nurses. And they had nurses, apparently. They were real nurses. And I don't know if they were just well paid or true believers, what made them do what they did. They were the ones that were doing the stabbing and jabbing, doing all the dirty work around here. And some of these poor people that were here would get several shots a day of this stuff, which is, sounds painful to me. Well, no doctor, no medicine, like morphine. If you're in pain here, you get aspirin and mental therapeutics. Complain too much about the pain, you get a free trip to the asylum, because you're a bit of a troublemaker. Get out of the way. But the real reason for the asylum was because occasionally he needed someone to put people before they died. He had a 6-week guarantee. So most of his patients, 6 weeks of treatment, if they could tolerate that, they still stands up, they're halfway decent, and he'd say, hey, Miss Smith, you've been cured. Let's get you home to your family. And you're going to feel woozy for a few days. It'll pass. But going home now, you're okay. And they go home and die, which is the way he liked it. Didn't like them dying here. That's bad for business. People did die here, though. Some folks that came here, they were quite sick. It was their last hope. They show up here, start the treatment, they deteriorate pretty quickly. As they got near death, well, it would be bad for business if they died in front of everybody else. So you sneak back to the asylum, put them behind closed doors, and tell everybody else, oh, that's Mr. Jones. He's a very private man. He wants more privacy and quiet. So we're taking care of him back there. He's doing great. We'll see him real soon. Don't worry about him. Of course, he would die. What happened back there? So anybody on this floor tonight in this area? Anybody on this area? No?
I think we're down there. Yeah,
Okay.
at the end of the hall.
Well, later tonight, not every night, okay, but once in a while, a guest on this floor, they suddenly get woken up like 3 or 4 in the morning by this loud noise that goes by their door. And they say it sounds like a squeaky wheel on the wooden floor. So they open the door, what's going on this time of night? And there's a woman in the hallway, they say, she's got this nursing uniform on. In front of her is a gurney. It appears to be a sheet draped body on top of the gurney. She just stares down the hall, pushes down the hall this way, goes all the way down the elevator down there at the other end, and just disappears down there. So we call the nurse. And when they describe her, they say you cannot get her attention. She ignores everything around her, does all she does. The paranormal investigators, they call this kind of a ghost, a residual spirit. It seems like an echo of energy, if you will, or some kind of recording of some sort, paranormal report. I'm not sure how it works, but when they describe what she's doing, though, they're describing a nurse in the 30s. Because back then, if someone died in the asylum, well, they want to get them down to the morgue, right? The elevator's way down the hall. So they're kind of bad for business. Pushing dead bodies around here in the daytime. They wait till the middle of the night to move the bodies. That's what she's doing here. We're going to drop Mr. Baker. We're going to leave her behind now. Now move forward in time up to 2002. So the Rennicks are in town. They got the hotel reopened. It's going great. They've been remodeling. It's going really good. And they've redone the old asylum back here. Does anybody know what they did with the old asylum? And what else? Honeymoon suites, of course. They're very popular. Very popular rooms indeed. So 3,500 is on this side of the building. It's a very popular room. And so not too long after it opened up, these people came down from Joplin, Missouri, get married in the hotel. They had their ceremony here, a couple nights honeymoon suite, had a nice time, checked out, and went home, right? Well, 3 days later, they called the hotel. They said, we just got our pictures back from our trip. We got to show you something. So I brought this photo I'm going to share with you guys. This photo, it was taken by the husband. He was using a film camera, one of the disposable film cameras. So they didn't see they got developed, right? So, caught their eye. Looking at the TV set, is an upside down image. Now, they swore the TV was not on. They were enjoying some red wine and Mountain Dew there on their honeymoon, as you can see. Is that okay, guys? You see that picture there? Is that okay, sir?
Well.
Okay. Is that all right? Is that okay back there? You got it? You got it? All right. Well, we turned the right side, that made it bigger, so you get a good look at him. Unless her jaw's a little weird looking. Same lady, right side up bigger for you. Same lady, a little weird looking. Notice the jawline's a little strange. Same lady, bigger and better for you. A little strange in the jaw area. Same building. Same photo. So you go on a meeting white. If you still appears, people back in the husband suite, some of these folks, they said they wake up in the middle of the night, and there's a woman at the foot of the bed staring at them. It's pretty creepy. But she didn't stay very long. They also she disappeared pretty quick. They also talk about there's a haunted moon that comes on by itself. They talk about shapes and shadows, all kinds of weird things. But oddly enough, it's a very popular room. Did the haunted honeymoon become a thing? Is it one of those hashtag TikTok things, something like that? It's really popular. Forget June. That's no longer the wedding month. Apparently it's October now. We got swamped. It's just crazy. It's kind of cool. But they dig it, so hey, it's okay with me. But anyway, so we don't know who she is, but we think she was probably a patient at the hospital because where she's at, what she's wearing, what's going on here, right? Now, if she had surgery, it did not happen here. Roman Baker's motto: cancer curable without knife, radium, X-ray, or serum. We do not cut out any organ. We do not use radium or X-ray. It's just a magic potion, which made him millions of dollars. So it's pretty crazy. All right, guys, we're gonna head down to the hall. Follow me, please. Yeah. Yeah, cool. What's not creepy?
The elevator shaft.
Well, you know, the area, the alcove, what do you call it? So anyway, I'm gonna put my little machine in this drawer, okay? Not every night. Sometimes I get something, okay? So get our hopes up. We'll see what happens. Oh, it's kind of quiet tonight. Oh, it's real quiet. Well, Fooey, I hear nothing. Not even a tiny little jiggle. Oh shoot! I get a little. Can you see the needle moving a little bit? A little bit. Sometimes you get red. Sometimes I get nothing at all. Oh, Fooey. All right. So I'm just checking it out. So this 312 here is not a guest room anymore. It's actually, if you notice the transom window, this Mr. Rank's initials, the owner that passed away. So it's a room in his honor. We had meetings in there. There's a table and chairs in there. The Rotary Clubs, little community room, that kind of thing. So, but back in the School for Girls days, so this was a dorm room, and there's a balcony off the room that overlooks the backyard down here. And so the story I'm going to tell you now is from the School for Girls. It's been told here for decades at the hotel. It's one of our oldest stories, actually. And so it was about 1915, about 10:30 at night here at the school. The girls would do whatever they do, and they hear this scream come from the room up here. So they come here to see what's going on, and they can't find the girl who lives here. They look for her, they can't find her. They finally find her. Then I don't mean the way.
You mind about this? Or wait.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's a paid tour.
No.
That's right. Take it next time. Yeah. So, but yeah, so they can't find the girl, but they did find her. She's in the garden down below the balcony, and she's dead. Apparently, she's fallen off the balcony. That was the scream they heard, and they just thought it was an accident. It's a tragedy, but an accident. Well, a few days later, the rumor began to circulate around the school that this girl had been pregnant on a wedding bond. Quite a scandal back in those days, especially these young ladies of wealthy families. It was a pretty big deal. Not to mention for the School for Girls, not exactly the kind of press they want, so they kept it quiet as best they could. But behind closed doors, the staff was wondering what happened here. Is it possible there's some foul play? Did she commit suicide? What happened to this poor girl? But, it was kind of a can of worms, so they didn't really try hard to investigate too much, and it all went away when the school closed down. They just kind of forgot about it. But ever since then, even to today, I've never seen it myself. Some of our guests talked about it, some of our staff talked about it. They see an apparition that we call the girl in the mist. And so you have to work for it, okay? But this time of night, unfortunately, but you got to go out there in the garden on the other side of the yard, look at the third floor balcony. If you see this happen, this young lady kind of materializes on this cloud of mist, in a cloud of mist on the balcony. She approaches the rail. When she gets there, the whole thing tumbles over the rail, falls in the garden down below, and dissipates. You look back up the balcony, and this dark figure backs away from the rail. So again, that idea of foul play comes to mind. We don't know what happened. I have another photo for you guys. Right above this room is the bar upstairs, a little corner table with a big window that looks out across the balcony. And this young man in the photo I'm going to show you, he's at the table with his friends. They're having a few laughs, having some drinks, and he was getting married soon, taking some photos. They didn't realize until later. They call something pretty cool outside the window. Well, it is. You haven't seen this one?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Give us a little bit of that. I got it. Pretty cool photo. We like it a lot. We got some more. You guys getting cool photos? Please share. This is okay. This happens to be like margarita. She is cool. Pretty cool photo. Okay. There we go. We messed up there. Oh. Is it okay back
Oh, yeah.
there? Is it okay, man? Is it okay, man?
Mm-hmm.
That's all we know about it. Unfortunately, we don't know anything more about it. Because, this kind of thing that we're not talking about in Black Society back in the old days. We're not making the yearbook, okay? So, but the School for Girls, though, is kind of interesting. I mean, I like to do a little plug for our local museum. We've got a historical museum down on South End of Main Street. Little museum, if you want to kill an hour, you can go there. They got some more information on the School for Girls, other things, around town. Norm Baker stuff too. And it was a good school. And they paid back then, I believe it was $325 a semester, and then that included room and board. It's like $11,000 in today's money. So it was a pretty good deal, even by today's standards, and it was a good little school. But not all the girls here were here for their academic, pursuits, I should say. I read about two girls from the 1920s. They fell in with the wrong crowd, okay? They got involved with a murder plot up in Missouri. So they weren't sending home that kind of thing. I don't know what to do. But so, yeah, it's a bunch of history for the School for Girls. Too much to talk about today. But anyway, we're going to head down to second floor. That's all I make.
If he shows up again in purple, it's definitely on.
Purple, you're right, purple thing. Cut it out. I started on.
Oh, you just turned it on. I was like, oh, did it?
I don't usually get the undiscovered sometimes every once in a while. Every or so. But anyway, so 212 here. Anybody 212 tonight? Okay. No? Okay. So I'm trying to be a little quiet. This is a guest room nowadays. And back in the 1890s, though, this was actually the hotel. Ooh, you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. This is actually the hotel physician's office. In those days, this is back at the beginning of the hotel, all the rich folks were coming here, and it was not the weekend, they came for the season. So we had a doctor on board. His name was C.F. Ellis, Dr. Ellis. He was a real doctor, by the way. So Dr. Ellis, he helped take care of his people. He was a really important man, actually, in Eureka Springs history. At the beginning, he came here to work with the Eureka company, but be the doctor of the hotel. So, this is his office. Nowadays, and for years, you don't need to get through. Come on through. Don't worry, stop it. Come on through.
Sorry, I didn't want
No,
to
no,
interrupt.
no, no. Just come through. Come on through. Got something to do. So nowadays, and for years now, folks who stay in hotels, they sometimes say they see this gentleman right on the floor. And they describe as a Victorian gentleman. He's got a top hat on, mutton chop sideburns, brocaded vest, smoking a pipe. They say, and some folks that stay in this room smell cherry tobacco. But he comes out of the room, goes across the hall, the elevator, floats down the hall that way, floats down the stairs. And I'm saying float, because when they describe this man, this apparition, they invariably say he has no legs. He's floating around on the ground, not any legs. It's pretty weird for all kinds of reasons. Very weird. It would be very strange for Dr. Ellis. We know he had legs the day he died. He died in 1931. He died in 31 here in Eureka Springs. He was 74 years old, and he and his wife, they were living with their maid down in the building downtown Eureka Springs on Spring Street. They caught fire one night. So trying to get out, and he got overcome with smoke and died of a heart attack on Spring Street. Complete with legs. So I don't know where they went. Anyway, just one of the ghosts on this floor. Two more to talk about.
Me? You probably walked
Can we
through
go
the
sing Who's
streets.
Your Lakes?
Okay. Right on down here, my friends. Right on down here. Right on down here. Right on down. Okay, my friends. So we're going to discuss 218 right over there. That's the one I was just checking out a minute ago. I'm just trying to get away from it because, it's getting late at night. Those poor people. If you stay in this hotel, you got to be aware you're going to get a ghost for every half hour. Anyway, so 218 there, it's the most popular room in the hotel. And it's called Michael's Room. You only heard about Michael. I think some of you heard about Michael. Very popular ghost. Most folks that book that room today, they book it on purpose. They want to have an encounter with Michael. So it's a very popular room for that reason. So that's also the room where I had my experience. I'll tell you about in a second. So first about Michael. He was a young man, and his family there from Ireland, and they had just come to the New World about the time the hotel was being built. So they were stonemasons back in the old country. They got hired by the Eureka Springs Company to build these limestone walls for the hotel. It was a great gig for them. The first the boats going pretty good for them, and pretty good deal. So Michael, young man, 17 years old, handsome, good-looking kid, smart, big personality, strong and fit. And he was a real show-off and a flirt. He was always flirting with the girls in town, trying to impress them with the strength of the house. So one fine day, he's in the hotel. They're on top of the building, about 40 feet off the ground. On this side of the building, doing his thing with the rocks. It's a nice day in Eureka. On the inside, there's posts and beams everywhere, but he's doing his thing up there. It's a nice day. Looks down the grounds of the hotel. This pretty girl walks by. So he's got to show off and get her attention, right? Calls down, hey, Missy, look up here. She looks up and gets him going. Yeah, Michael, watch this. He starts strutting around on top of the wall, showing his bounce. He's grabbing these big giant rocks, carrying them around, showing how strong the guy is. Well, apparently she's not very impressed because he decides to take it up a notch. He's going to do a little dance for her, a couple of long riders jig. Watch this. He loses his balance, falls into the building, and he hits his head on a beam that became part of room 218, and that's how he died. That's how it became Michael's room. And as of last month, he's been here for 139 years. As long as he's open up. He's our oldest ghost, definitely, and he's been here a long time. And we've heard about him for a long time, too. And like I said, most folks that book the room, they do it on purpose, and they encounter Michael, and they tell these stories about, some of them anyway, tell these stories about having encounters with Michael, and there's kind of a common thread with that. So one of those things, there's a balcony off the room, there's this French doors that open to the balcony, and they're secured by 2 latches. So they'll be lying in bed at night, watching TV or whatever, and they hear this click at these latches, they open these doors, and they swing open the room. And then the lights will flicker, the radio makes some noise, and on this side of the room over here is a chest of drawers that faces this way. These drawers, they say, will open all by themselves. That's what I saw happen. It was 5 years ago last February. I'm in the room, and it's a Saturday night. I'm in there with 4 other people. We're ghost hunting, and I'm not making this up. The upper right-hand drawer in this chest all of a sudden just opened up all by itself right in front of our faces, real slow. Nobody more surprised than I was, okay? I was still new at this job. I just wasn't expecting this kind of thing to happen, you know what I'm saying? But it did. I was like, oh, okay. So, even the ghost tour guides, we only get to go in the room once a year. This is during an event called ESP Weekend. It stands for Eureka Springs Paranormal Weekend. A special event that we do in the winter. It's a convention of sorts. We bring these paranormal investigators to the hotel. They bring their fancy equipment. If you come for the convention, you get lectures and slideshows. We discuss the ghosts. You learn how to use the equipment, and then you ghost hunt. So on that weekend, we do not rent out the haunted rooms. They're open for inspection. So my room is open, Theodore's room is open, the honeymoon suite, Norman's apartment, other rooms, Dr. Ellis, the morgue is all open. So if you come for the convention, get your name tag on, you go ghost hunting from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. with the ghost hunters. 2 nights in a row. It's a lot of fun. Like, we really have a big time doing it. And so the tour guides, they put us in the rooms to keep an eye on things. So you guys, it's my first ESP weekend. I've never done it. It's Saturday night. They put me in Michael's room. Okay, here we go. So we're all night long. People are coming and going. Nothing is happening. So it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. These 4 ladies come into the room. 3 young ladies, 1 girl, it's her 18th birthday, her 2 little friends. Their birthday girl's mother. They come in. It's getting late. They want something to happen. So they ask the birthday girl if she'd be a good sport and recline on the bed to be, in their words, bait for Michael. Okay? So she does, and she does. And so we're laughing, we're having a little fun. So her friends get their phones out, start playing some YouTube videos, Irish music, try to track Michael. So we get river dance and Irish reels, but we're dancing around, having some fun, right? So she's on the bed over there, we're laughing. She's got chest doors behind us, we're having a good time. All of a sudden she stops laughing, her face kind of goes, she points, we turn around, and the door was open all by itself. I'm telling you guys, it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And we tried to make it, we tried to reproduce it. We would close the drawer, we would bang on the dresser and kick it and stomp on the floor, and I still, in my personal experience, have not seen it happen again since. But the people in the room that talk about it, with some frequency, it's one of those things that happens. The doors opening and closing, the plumbing in the bathroom will come on off by itself, stuff like that. And now I'm going to apologize. Because Michael is not a politically correct ghost. Right? You guys don't get mad at me. He would not do very well with the Me Too era. Okay? Yeah. All right, our female guests indicate that he's still pretty interested in getting their attention, right? They talk about, well, a shower, for example, hot water is cold suddenly, which can cause them to jump out of their birthday suit, so they figure that one out. And they talk about having someone stroke their hair, touch them on the shoulder, tickle their feet, okay? So, and I'm just telling you what they tell me, okay? I'm not, you know, don't get mad at me, all right? That's what they tell us. So, kind of weird thing. But most folks, but a lot of them say, that's why I booked the room. I want to meet Michael. He's a really popular guy. He's getting more action than he ever got, I'll tell you that. So we're going to carry on before we go. We'll show one little thing around the store. Come around the corner. By the swamp, I'm sorry. Come around the corner, you guys, a little bit. You all ready? Can you see over there? Sir, can you see? Can you see over here? Ready? Ah, it's not a ghost. Behind this wall is like a 4-foot tall fuse box. It's a huge electric fan. It's crazy for electric rate. So I get away from here, it goes out pretty quick, down to zero pretty quick. So I'm showing you this because if this goes off in the middle of nowhere, that's a pretty good sign something's going on. But if you're near a wall or whatever, you got to keep in mind it can be fuse panels or, you know, cable boxes, whatever in there. Because not everything's a ghost, you know. We do our fair amount of debunking, which is not a bad thing. I mean, you want to get to the real McCoy. So I'm telling you this too because I'm going to use this thing down in the morgue tonight as a little demonstration. And I want you guys to understand how it works, so it'll make a little more sense. All right, let's sit down in the hallway. Ask all me. Can you speak past the page, if you don't mind? Pardon me, my friends. Pardon me. That's good. Pardon me. These days, you just have to open the bag. When I was a kid, what was it called? Anyway, come close, my friends. Come close. Staff drugs. And school staff drugs. All right. So we're stopping here to talk about little Brecky. Remember little Brecky Thompson, the little boy upstairs? Everybody remember him? Okay. So his full name is Clifton Breckinridge Thompson, and he was actually the son of the president of the College for Girls. He was a man named Richard Ryan Thompson. He married one of the teachers here. Her name was Mary Breckinridge. She was a nurse. She taught nursing and child welfare at the school here. And so they met. They got married in 1913. They had Brecky in 1914. A little blonde hair bundle of joy, right? Well, 2 years later, Mary had a daughter. She was born prematurely, and so she only lived about 6 hours. So Brecky was her only child. Obviously, very precious to them. And you know, he had a school for girls. You can imagine this little blonde-headed, you know, kid running around the halls of this school for girls. He had all his big sisters. You know, he got all kinds of love and attention. And the boss's son to boot, so he had a pretty good run of the place. And so this is one of the dormitory areas in those days, and he had his little red balls, his favorite thing in the world. And he'd get the girls, and they'd play in the hallways, the lobby, the garden, you know, all over the building. It was a big playground for the boy. A really great life for the little boy, but a short life. He died about a year after that photo was taken upstairs, just a little bit past his 4th birthday. He died of an intestinal infection. It was 1918, you know, it was just difficult. They actually did surgery, but he died about 5 days after the surgery. He didn't make it. So obviously a devastating, you know, event for his family. Pretty big blow. The second child was in 2 years' time, and for the school for girls, obviously a pretty, you know, rough time for them too. But his mother, Mary, wanted to commemorate his life, so she wrote a memoir. It's called Brecky His 4 Years. In the memoir, she wrote about having a seance for the contacted. They sound a bit bizarre to us today, not the kind of thing we go in for a dead child especially. Back then, I got to remind you, it was kind of popular because back then, pizza. Did you bring up the whole class?
Yeah.
No, good night. But so back then this kind of thing was sort of popular because this radio was a brand new thing. At this time in history. You got to remember that because people they kind of freaked out by the unseen airwaves, the magical ether. They thought maybe we talked to dead, the airwaves. It was kind of a popular thing. They had these sounds and that kind of stuff. So they brought in a meeting with the school. Her name was Mary. She was a friend of Mary's, and I don't know her name. She was a friend of Mary's. And she came into this little seance, and she said, "Yes, I talked to Brecky. He's with his little sister. They're together. They're very happy. They got everything they need. They're okay. Don't worry about them. They're not alone. They're all right." That may have helped them with their grief a little bit. I think it also may have left the door the other side open a crack. Because old Brecky used to hang around the building, especially the school for girls areas. This hallway, for example, lobby, the garden area, over the conservatory where the school for girls have their activities. Besides Michael, the second most talked about Ghost in the Hotel. And on this floor in particular, anybody ever in this area tonight? This area up here? No? Okay. So what they hear, they see the earth thumping on the hallway up here. So they open the door. That's a good door. So they open the door. This is what's going on. And down by that mirror at the end of the hall, there's a little boy walking down the hall this way. And he's bouncing a ball as he goes along. He says, "It's not fair, it's not fair." He bounces the ball down the hall. some of our guests, they see this little kid, and they don't know the breaking story. So they call the front desk to report and say, hey, there's a little boy up here all by himself. It's kind of late, and he seems pretty upset. We think he's running away from his parents. What should we do? We'll say, well, what does he look like? Well, he got blonde hair, white pajamas. Oh, wait a minute. He's gone. I guess his folks found him. I guess they probably did. Thanks for calling. It's that way. But the photo upstairs, right? I found that about 18 years ago. The lady who found it, the lady made the paintings. She made the paintings 24 years ago. So I'm going to show you another one of her paintings. This painting she made is of a ghost that we used to call the little boy. I want to remind you, she painted this from descriptions of other people 6 years before she found the photo. So look at this, compare it to the photo, see what you think. It's pretty remarkable. She's a very talented painter, as you can see. Come on, and also I'd say a very good listener. Oh, come on through, sir. Yeah, how's it going? I see she's a very good listener as well. I think she would have been a pretty good police sketch artist, too. Wow. We got this kid in no time at all.
Wow.
So it says the little boy on the card, because back in those days, for decades, we just called him the little boy because we didn't know who he was. For many years, we had no idea who this kid was. He was kind of hanging around the hotel, But now we know it's Brecky. And we know a whole lot more about him and his family, the whole School for Girls scene. Know a whole lot more about it. They're kind of interesting people, actually. These folks, they got divorced after he died, which was kind of sad. But his dad, he quit the school. Now, have you guys ever had Ozarka water? You ever heard of that? It's kind of popular brand. Y'all probably not Carolina. Where are you from again? Not Carolina. Maryland, that's right. Yeah, but anyway, down here it's a pretty popular brand of water. He founded that company right here in Eureka Springs. It was on water here for like 50 years. Now it's in Texas somewhere. And then Mary Breckenridge, any nurses tonight? Nurses in the crowd? Nurses, doctors? Well, dang. She was a nurse. So she went home to Kentucky, where she was from. This is right after World War I. And she opened a clinic up there for birthing babies. Today, it's a college for midwives. It's called the Frontier Nursing College of Midwifery and Nurse Practitioners. And it is part of the University of Kentucky system. It's hard to get. And she's pretty well known for that. It's a very important school for those professions. And in fact, President Carter put her on the 77-cent stamp to commemorate her work with infant mortality. She's kind of famous for it. So there you go, guys. If you're on Jeopardy next week, this comes up. We'll cash in.
Winner.
That's right. All right, let's get on the lobby and meet the boss. Hopefully, we'll meet the boss. Oh, you guys. The school for real glory, it's really bad.
Oh, that's the best boss ever.
You got a cat in your house?
No, I want one. Trying to convince my dad.
Oh, really? Does he have an allergy or something?
Yes. He said you're worse than that.
That can be a
Just get a hairless cat. No.
My brother, we were cat freaks in my family. My brother married one with allergies, so he was catless for years. Poor guy. He would come to visit us because he had the cats. Anyway. So my friend, this is Morris. I'm not Morris. This is Jasper. This is Jasper. He's the boss here at the hotel. He's a senior manager. 19 years now he's running the hotel.
19?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I don't blame you for
have you guys seen
sleeping.
his
That's a
intern?
long time.
He's got an intern named Ozzy. Have you seen the intern yet?
I heard
It's a little tuxedo.
Yeah. He's a little sequin. Yeah, that's Ozzy the intern. He was out there a while ago. So Ozzy's about a year old. He's the new guy, but he's catching on real fast. And so he's catching on the hotel. And this is their desk where they do all their work, okay? But this was Norman Baker's desk in the old days. It was a gigantic desk where he ran his empire from. There was 2 more sections in the old days. So Norman, he had the hospital, big money maker. He had a radio station in Mexico at this time. He had a magazine. He had a lot of fans, okay? He would tell his fans of his, send me money. The American Medical Association is trying to have me assassinated. I'm trying to fight them. They're trying to kill me. I've got the cure for cancer. And he made thousands of dollars this way alone. He made a lot of money. He was a really good con man, very good showman. So that gallery over there was the office back during the hospital days. And you had the desk in the office behind bulletproof glass, Tommy guns hanging on the wall, St. Bernard guard dogs, all part of the show. I'm this poor humanitarian trying to cure cancer. And, he's just a great con man. And he was a good con man. He was a really smart guy. I tell you what, he really was a smart guy. If he had used his powers for good, he might have cured cancer. He had inventions. The guy was smart. He got with the wrong crowd, I guess. He got in the carnival business, and that was the end of it. All right, guys, we're going to head over to the fireplace for a minute. She look good. All right. This guy in front of the fireplace here, please. Just kind of in front of the fireplace for a moment. We're going to discuss another kitty cat real quick. So we just met the boss, Jasper, from his hotel. We've had a series of hotel cats over the years. It all began with Morris. This is Morris, the original hotel cat. Morris was very beloved member of the staff way back in the old days. They found him by the dumpster one night, 1973, a little kitten, and they sent him in the hotel. And they're trying to keep a secret, but he got out, of course. So the human owner at that time decided to give Morris a chance and hired him to be the honorary general manager. And Morris ran the hotel for 21 years. Wow. Yes. He was an old cat when he passed away in 1994. He was a very popular cat, very, very well known, quite famous. And he'd hang out in Longview, of course, on Jasper there, and got pretty well known. If you want to see his grave, it's down the back stairs to the left, down the sidewalk. You see his tombstone down there. And some folks, they still say they see him in the hotel, some of the orange cat running by, or little kids. I mean, about once a month, some little kid will go, I was petting the kitty. I say, oh, you met Jasper? They go, no, the orange one. So anyway, so when Morris here died, we had funerals in 1994, and actually went to funerals, quite a fair, he's quite a popular cat. More than 50 people came to the funeral. Now, I want to compare that to Norman Baker. Norman Baker died, he was great up there in Muscatine, so down. When he died, even his own brother would not attend the funeral. 5 people didn't show up. They gave brother the money. It's a true story. The funeral director had to go to community college in Muscatine County and hired 6 young men at $5 a piece to carry the casket. He was not a popular man when he died. He had his day. He was a popular guy for a while, but at the end, it was over. So, friends, let's get on the board and talk about it. Come on. That's not the morgue. It's the dumpster. Sorry. We're going to regroup here just for a second, real quick. We'll go outside. I promise we'll get out of this thing here in a minute. But that's the annex up there, the part of the building I talked about earlier. The top floors where the old asylum used to be. 2 top floors, about honeymoon suites. The boarded up windows where the kitchen is nowadays. Now, the kitchen was originally at the very bottom floor here. It moved upstairs at some point. Norman Baker, he gets here in 37. He puts the makeshift morgue where the old kitchen used to be. What do you mean morgue?
Watch your head. Mind your head.
See, you have a chair. Any students in the front row, of course. Go ahead and have a seat, my friends.
It doesn't smell like a morgue.
No, it's not.
I don't smell
It's not too bad down here anymore.
formaldehyde and embalming.
It's been a long time since any dead bodies down here. These human dead bodies, anyway. Trying to toss it down there one night. But, you know, it was ours. Come on in, my friends. You guys will sit on the bench over here, sit on the bench. Are we all here? Yes, I think we're all here, yes?
Yeah.
So.
I'd say
Start dancing.
That was a good one tonight.
Extra sweet.
It's not quite that good every night. Well, welcome to the board, guys. So there's 2 more rooms beyond that door we're going to talk about in a moment. This room we call the intake room. We call it that because back in the day when Baker was here, the elevator did not go down to this floor. So they get these dead bodies in this area. They came to this door right here, and to get them down to this door, they had to bring them out the front of the building and get them down here. So obviously another good nighttime exercise. It's all quiet. Here's Mr. Baker himself on the wall over there. A couple of photos. That left-hand photo, he's a very popular guy at that time. He's about 35, 40 years old. He's got his first radio station on the air, his first entrepreneurship done. He's doing great, making a lot of money, very popular guy. The right-hand photo, he's about 60 years old in Mexico at that time, still making a lot of money. The left-hand photo, there's an inscription. It says, "I'm in this fight to the finish for humanity." And he's talking about his fight with the American Medical Association, of course, because they were fighting from the very beginning. So I have a little slideshow for you guys. This is the life and times of Norman Baker. Because you're on this tour, you guys get to see it. Other tours don't get to see it. If you're groggy, this may put you out. I hope you stay with me. I think it's interesting stuff. But this is the hotel from 1909. That was the original look. Now that's the back of the building today. Back then it was the front of the building because that was faced the train station. But here's Mr. Baker as a young man and his first big job as the vaudeville hypnotist. That's him doing his act. He's about 21 years old at this time. And he's got a magic show, traveling magic show. He was doing another magic trick. So for about 8 years, he got this traveling magic show he's doing all over the Midwest. Well, he goes bankrupt. So he goes back to his hometown with his tail between his legs, and he rejoins the family business at the machine shop, and that's where he invents the Calliophone. He started selling that thing. Within a couple of years, he's made $1.5 million, which is like $20 million in today's money. He actually opens a factory for these things in Muscatine, his hometown, and becomes kind of the town hero. He's riding high. He's doing pretty good. He's got other department stores and gas stations, all kinds of things going on, and he gets into the radio thing. Okay, so it's now 1925, and he can see that radio is going to be a very important thing, so he wants to get in on it. So he builds his own station. He's a smart guy, builds his own station. It's called KT&T. Here it is. It's a 10,000 watt AM station. And KT&T stood for Know the Naked Truth, because he was rather bombastic on the air. He was a great showman. He got on the air, he talked about his political ideas, conspiracy theories, whatnot. He's a very popular guy. So now it's about 1927. He meets a man named Dr. Charles Ozias. He's a real doctor. And Dr. Ozias, that's the kitchen above our heads, by the way, don't be alarmed, just the kitchen. So Dr. Ozias, he's got a clinic in Kansas City, and he's selling there a fake cure for cancer. It's a shot. And he's selling it for $50 a shot, which is real money back in those days. So he gets charged with fraud. The man gets charged with fraud, but he gets off. He didn't stick, gets off. He meets Norman Baker, and they get together, and they come up with a scheme. Norman Baker's on the radio and put out a call for volunteers to test Dr. Ozias' cure for cancer. So they get hundreds of letters to KT&T. They choose 6 people, take them to Kansas City for a 6-week-long trial, put them up in a hotel, do the trial. 2 months later, 5 of these people are dead from cancer. The 6th person is not dead, never had cancer. He was a spy for Norman Baker. That's how it goes in the real world. In Norman's world, though, on the radio, in his magazine, everyone's cured, they're alive, they're doing well, it's a big miracle, it's a great hit, and it's a big fat lie, but they get away with it, and so they start making a ton of money, and Norman wants the money, so he gets rid of Dr. Ozias, steals the head nurse, and opens the first Baker Hospital in Muscatine, Iowa, in 1929 up there, and it's going pretty good. It's the Great Depression, you guys, right? Really bad economic times. This hospital of his was pulling down $75,000 a month, which is real money back in those days, pretty good dough. Here is the staff at Baker Hospital. As you can see, there's a lot of white coats. There was one real doctor. His name was J.L. Statler, and he was actually an MD, and he was one of the partners. He was in on the whole thing, got 25% of the cut. That's how it was going. So now they're on the radio at nighttime, talking about the cure for cancer, making a lot of money. It's rolling in. They're going pretty good. The AMA is pushing back. They're trying to stop him. So Norman decides he better do a live demonstration to cure for cancer to put off the AMA, a public demonstration. So he promotes on the radio. My friends, he says, come to KT&T this Sunday. You will see a live demonstration of my cure for cancer. That Sunday comes along in April 1930, and they bring out this man. This is Manus Johnson over here. Now, these are pages from Norman's brochure. Besides radio, Norman Baker mailed out brochures all over the country to sell the hospital the cure for cancer. This is the photo of the crowd that came to see the cure for cancer. 50,000? Probably not. It was more than 10,000 people, a lot of people. So Manus over here is a farmer, and in real life, he's got a problem with his scalp. It's a scalp condition. It is not cancer. Manus knows it. Norman Baker knows it. Dr. Statler knows it. The crowd does not know it. They bring him out in front of the crowd with this lumpy head thing going on. They sit him on a stool and they say, this poor man. He must sleep on rubber sheets. His head secretes a pint of pus every day. They use 5 yards of cheesecloth to bandage his head, but we're treating him now. They're beginning to play with the lump on his head, so they play with that lump, and they pull off his skull, exposing his brain. No, not really. It's a vaudeville trick. It's fake, but the crowd thinks it's the man's brain. They say, this poor man, he has 48% brain cancer. They take a vial of formula number 5, they pour it on his head. They don't inject this guy. They pour it on his head, put the skull back on, send him off the stage, and the crowd make us go, wow. It's a great hit, big hit. Norm's back on top, big success. And his man's getting his head pulled off. Don't worry, it's fake. So the AMA, they hear about this, and they want to put Norman out of business. Now they're sick of it. So they put an article in their magazine to announce him as a fraud. Well, Norman gets mad. By his own accounting, his proceeds go from $75,000 a month to $7,000 a month. So he sues the AMA for slander for $500,000. Goes to court up here in Iowa. It's a 4-week-long trial. It does not go up for Mr. Baker. He brings 3 expert witnesses who are the fake doctors. They get disqualified by the judge. The AMA brings over 100 witnesses, people whose relatives died of cancer after the Baker treatment. His employees turn against him. It goes really bad for him. Loses the lawsuit, and now the state of the state of Iowa charges him with the criminal count of practicing medicine without a license. So he runs away, goes down to Mexico. Down to Mexico, on the Texas side of the border, he opens another clinic. On the Mexico side of the border, he builds another radio station. It's called XENT. They called them border blasters. These were very powerful stations in the old days on the Mexico border. 100,000 watts on the AM dial. That is so powerful that you can hear it in Alaska at nighttime. So you get on the air at night, play a little music, talk about the cure for cancer, 100% guarantee. How the AMA was the Amateur Meat Cutters Association. They tried to kill me. They bribed the judge. They bribed the jury. But he became very popular again. Well, he gets homesick, goes back to Iowa, turns himself in, and there he spends one night in jail. One night in jail and a $50 fine while the was tour for practicing medicine without a license. So after that, he comes to Eureka Springs. He comes here because our local banker at the time was a man named Claude Fuller. He's a very powerful congressman. And he's got the bank, got the hotel, it's in receivership, so he's trying to get the hotel. It turns out he knows Norman Baker personally, knows his story, and knows he needs somewhere to land. So he's thinking, there's tough times in Eureka Springs, let's bring Norman Baker to Eureka Springs. We'll show him a good time, make him a good deal in the hotel, maybe he'll buy it. People in town are like, yeah, that's the guy with the cure for cancer on the radio. We'll get rich, bring him to town. They bring him to town, show him a good time, and indeed he buys a hotel. And then it becomes the 3rd Baker Hospital. There's more than the brochure. Wonderful hospital resort in the clouds. Excuse me. Behind you guys on the wall back there, that's an original cancer curable hospital sign from the old days. Now please note the word curable, so it's cure by nature. Yeah. So, excuse me. So in the brochure, there are all sorts of wonderful testimonials and photos of the great hospital resort. Here, for example, talking picture shows every week for free for the patients here. One of the great benefits of staying here. Wonderful dining hall, great food. There's Mr. Baker and Dr. Statler dining with their patients. The grand piano in the background for their enjoyment. Wonderful place to be, hospital and resort. There are also photos in the brochure of the cure for cancer. Here's some of that. Excuse me. These folks, they may have gone somewhere for actual treatment, maybe surgery or radiation, something like that. Maybe it didn't go well, maybe they got dissatisfied, maybe they got a burn or a scar, whatever, infection, something like that. So they hear Norman Baker on the radio and they think, I'll try this guy out. So they come to this place, and the staff, they can heal the wound, they can heal the burn or whatever it is, and they say, and I cured the cancer. Not quite the same thing, guys, not quite the same thing. But if you're desperate, you're on the radio, you're making these claims, you think, what have I got to lose? Well, how about your life savings? You made between $2 and $4 million in 2 years around this place. That's back then money. Nowadays, that's almost $40 million. So you remember the calliophone, his music machine? So sometimes here at the hospital, there could be some unpleasant noises. Moaning and groaning, crying and screaming. Norman didn't like that. He did not like that at all. So he would, I'm sorry guys, my phone is freaking out on me. Oh no, what happened? Oh crap. I had it queued up. Anyway, he did not like all those bad noises, so he would get his calliophone out and fire that thing up. Now, it's really loud, okay? This thing is really loud. So I've got a little YouTube calliophone to play for you guys, if I can get past the commercial. I cannot get it loud enough on the phone to do it justice, but it'll give you an idea what this thing sounds like. So imagine, if you will, that you're a patient here at the hospital, you're lying there in your bed, and all of a sudden you hear this coming in the hall. It was not the ice cream man. And you say, oh no, it cheers them up, it's soothing. It's the soothing calliophone. Part of our therapy here at the Baker Hospital. So finally, I met Mr. Baker, 2 years in Eureka Springs, and he'd overstayed his welcome. He would sue people to drop the hat. He was a really sue-happy guy. So the banker that brought him here to begin with, he's pretty sick of him at this point, hates his guts. The banker's brother is actually the postmaster here in town. They come up with a plan to get rid of this guy. The brochure you see is full of lies. It's being mailed through U.S. mail. So they have the postal inspectors. The congressman urges an investigation with his influence, and, well, they do an investigation, and it's a little bit like getting Al Capone for tax evasion instead of murder. They got Norman Baker for 7 counts of mail fraud, and here he is in his first day of class at Leavenworth Penitentiary. He spent 3 years and 3 months in federal prison. Paid a watch your step. Jars and bottles in here. It's good. Let me get out of your way. Family photos in here. Should we do a photo? I want to do a photo.
Oh, look at the photograph. I did, I heard it pop.
We're back on that wall. The lighting, okay? New lighting. Okay. The lighting, yeah, perfect.
First tours, they just found these bottles, and they were just like sitting on bookshelves in here.
Yeah, you really like that.
Lighting, I promise it's only for lighting. You talk over the jars and balls yet? Okay. Here we go, 2 photos coming up. Here's Mr. Baker out here with you. Now, don't go anywhere, a little close up. Now, close up. This one's going to be the masterpiece, right? Excellent, thank you, my friend. I appreciate that.